You know, for years we'd take vacations, and we'd go to the Hamptons, we'd go to the Jersey Shore, we'd go to the coast of Maine, and we'd eat at these lovely little fish shacks. You know the places. Nothing to it. Seagulls squawking outside, fried shrimp, soft-shell sandwiches, lobster rolls, oysters on the half-shell, salt air. You know, it's paradise. And then you come back to Manhattan and you think, why can't I find a place like that here? Hey, because it's Manhattan. Well, that's changed. Stay tuned. In the restaurant world, it's often hard to discern where trends really started. I mean, most of the time it's a very blurry line and everybody takes credit. But I'll posit that if you're looking for the Crab Shack phenomenon and where it all began, no reason to look further than Pearl's Oyster Bar and its chef owner, Rebecca Charles. Rebecca had a great childhood growing up in the New York suburbs and summering every year in Kennebunk. Yes, but not just Kennebunk, not the Kennebunk of the Bush family, not the Kennebunk of, well, you know, we summer in Kennebunk and play croquet. No, Kennebunk where they had to let the Jews stay, the only hotel where Jews were allowed. But her memories were vivid and lovely. And really what she's creating here at Pearl's is that spirit, blueberry pie, lobster rolls, corn on the cob, you know, the best of the ocean. This was the place that started it all, and Rebecca's a great one, so let's go inside and meet her.
You're the one that brought this to New York. Rebecca Charles, everybody. Thanks for having us in, please.
My pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, no, tell me, where did you get this idea and how did it happen?
I got the idea quite by accident. I had come back to New York from living in Maine for 8 or 9 years, from New York originally. My family went up there historically every summer. My grandparents started to go in 1917, before my mother was even born, and it was a family tradition. Other members of the family that had spread out all over the country would even meet there during the summers and stay in the few hotels that permitted Jews. So I just got it in my blood. I just got that sand and that lobster thing just ingrained in me from an early age. And when I came back to New York, I worked for Ann Rosenzweig and kicked around for a number of years, as most of us chefs have. Got beaten up, you know, did a bunch of chef's jobs, and then thought, I'm going to open my own restaurant. It's going to be, 50-odd seat, fine dining, white tablecloth restaurant. And I looked for property for like 3 years. Nobody would rent to me because I had never had a previous business. I didn't have so it was a startup, as they call it. So I looked and looked and looked, and I finally found somebody a landlord that had enough trust in me to say, okay, let's lease her this tiny little space. But before that, I really was kind of lost. I went to California on an eating trip, just to kind of drown my sorrows, just eat and drink my way through San Francisco and the Napa Valley, and just to make myself feel a little better.
Yeah.
And the first place I went, I'd read about it in a guidebook, and right off the plane, I went to the Swan Oyster Depot on Polk Street in San Francisco, and this place was I sat there and ate that really, really great San Francisco seafood. 5 brothers behind the counter, jumping around, doing everything. Everybody did the same job, which was everything. And I just loved the idea of the place. And as I sat there, I realized, I've got virtually no money left. I had a third of what I'd started with to start the restaurant. And I had saved my money all my life. That was, mostly my money. So I felt a light bulb go off over my head, and I just said to myself, I'll do this in New York. There's nothing like this, only I'll do it New England style, which is what I know. This was 96.
Okay.
And I got it open in 97, July of 97.
And tell us who the Pearl is behind the Pearl.
Pearl Goldsmith, my grandmother. And when I decided to do seafood, and I thought oysters, which I consumed at the time by the dozens, Pearl, oyster.
Yeah, hello.
It's a gift.
Yeah.
It just worked from every angle. Fries coming? So it was just, I usually as a chef, I always think to myself, when it comes to putting a dish on the menu, if I like it, they will like it. I have pretty good taste.
Right.
I don't like overwrought, overblown food. I like it simple and straightforward and clean. And I'm not really into, now that I'm much older, making little jokes and being witty and all that kind of stuff on the menu. And as I say, it translates to the restaurant, the concept of the restaurant. There was nothing else like it in New York at the time. And it just, like a house on fire, people went nuts over it.
Be careful what you wish for. You want to be busy? This is busy.
Well, I suppose I could have done what some smart businessman would have done, which was, cookie cutter it right away across the country. And I've had offers to do that actually from very successful restaurateurs, guys that were businessmen first.
Yeah.
And
I'm not
I don't
with
trust that.
I'm stupid.
I like the chef-driven restaurant. I like the chef.
I make
so
the cornbread, okay?
it has to be that for me. And it's a shame because so many other people have made so much more money than I ever will out of this little place. But what I see in those faces when I come out here every night, and what they say to me on the way out the door is, there's no value that can be placed on it.
Yeah,
And they are my bread and butter, and some of them have actually become very good friends.
Next stop, the Lower East Side, a rather unlikely place for a crab shack. But no, not when you put it in the hands of the same people that run the Red Cat and the Harrison. This place is a classic. Let's get inside.
Fish shacks.
Fish shacks.
Here we are. Jimmy Bradley's got a real touch with everything. Now, we're with the chef here, Mike Price.
Correct.
Tell me how this restaurant came to be.
As far as concept goes, they had just opened the Harrison, which is a little more high-end restaurant in Tribeca, and we wanted to go back to the basics a little bit. And Jimmy being from Rhode Island, and me being from the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, it was a natural act to make it a kind of a hip New England clam shack. I have a lot of experience with seafood, soft-shell crabs, steamers, a lot to do with the Chesapeake Bay, oysters, and he has the same thing. So what we did was basically open a hip New England clam shack in the heart of Manhattan. My first restaurant experience was, as a kid, was going into a crab shack restaurant, and the old man, who my mother used to wait tables there in high school, gave me French fries and cocktail sauce, and I loved it. I thought it was the greatest thing. French fries and if you look on the menu now, what's on the menu? French fries and cocktail sauce.
Yeah.
So it's about keeping it simple. We have a range. We have like a simple skillet roasted mussels with drawn butter, which is like the most basic simple dish. Mussels, juice, and butter. That's it.
Yeah, mussels have
And
their
then-
own great liqueur.
Yeah,
butter
and
rounds
we've been voted, in the top lobster rolls in the city. We have a great lobster roll. We sell a ton of lobster rolls. Probably the biggest selling entree here, and everywhere in between is just a little touch of what we feel like doing at the time. It's definitely a New England clam shack, but it has a touch of Mediterranean into it.
This is great. Portugal was the sardine capital of the planet for years. The big sardine fishery fleet, and the best sardines came out of these waters, so I'm a huge fan of these. I actually even eat these canned, folks. That's how much I like them. I'm going to do a sardine first, by itself, naked. Hey. That's a great fish.
Yeah. Really fatty, good fishy flavor to it.
Like Rouget almost. That really, people say, is it a fishy fish? It's a freaking fish. What do you think? It's a piece of chicken?
Yeah, right.
What did that taste like? It drives me. I have to have the tilapia if you don't want fish. But this is great. You have the skin that's crunchy, that fat layer, that wonderful, again, that oceanic thing you get from Rouget. I think small bluefish have it in the States. I love that fish.
Yeah,
Little
yeah.
baby snapper blues are great.
Yeah,
This is wonderful.
We're in a different price range here than the other restaurants, and we try to keep it that way in the East Village and make everybody happy.
Yeah, it's more of a casual, faster in-and-out scene.
They're more of a casual in-and-out scene. Everybody here gets a complimentary chocolate to pudding, and we don't serve dessert. Everybody gets pudding.
That simplifies it.
Simplifies
Here's
it.
dessert, here's the check.
Never one to miss a successful trend. Yes. Into the fray comes Laurent Tourondel of BLT, BLT Prime, and now the 3-story BLT Fish at the site of the former AZ, where downstairs on the first floor he has a very, very busy and successful crab shack. Well, I'm not sure he's going to let me call it that, but for the sake of this show, that's what it is.
Seems like every year this guy's on the show. I don't know why, because he's really good. I'm a huge fan, and he's opening restaurants all over New York City that are wonderful. So, downstairs at BLT Fish. We'll do upstairs next season. Downstairs, you've got this great fish shack concept. Where'd you come up with this idea?
Simple concept. It's basically a fish shack. Took the idea from Maine, did some research, went to Maine, and just everything comes in a plastic basket, and whatever the fish of the day is, that's basically what the concept is. We have a beautiful raw bar
Yeah.
where we have 12 different oysters, from East Coast and West Coast, lobster rolls,
Great fried stuff, a great lobster
a
roll.
lot of fried food.
A lot of fried food, which I happen to like. So talk about some of the frying. You're frying flour, egg wash, standard breading procedure. How do you do your fried stuff?
Yeah, well, we have some beer butter also.
Uh-huh.
We fry stuffed jalapeno also with cream cheese for side order. We have crab cakes. A lot of fried food actually.
That's beer. That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I know.
Beer, champagne,
beer
and
and
you're
fried
you're at the beach.
We have also blueberry bread puddings, sundaes.
The classic American summer
classic,
stuff all
yeah.
year round.
Yes.
Over the last.
And we have actually, that is not true because there is some kind of like French things like we do periwinkles, which are more popular in Europe than they are in the United States. We do.
How do you do the periwinkles?
We just cook them in sea salt water and
Yeah.
take it out of the shell. We do sea snail, Dungeness crabs,
Oh, that's
Alaskan
nice.
king crabs.
Downstairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do a lot of at the row bar. We do a
Yeah.
lot of things.
And it must be nice. I mean, when French chefs come here now, and now even Eric Repair, the seafood we're getting in America is amazing, isn't it?
No,
I
it's
mean, the
very
freshness of the seafood we're getting now is outstanding.
Definitely. I actually get better seafood flying from Japan and flying from all over the world in New York than I get where I live in France from the coast of France, which is 3 hours driving.
Yeah. And add to that the day boats coming off Long Island and the diver stuff coming off
Yeah.
of Maine, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, continued success, chef.
Thank
and we're
you
going to
very
visit
much.
you next year. I mean, unfortunately, we're going to have a yearly BLT something segment, but so either it'll be BLT Prime or upstairs at BLT Fish
And
or
we're going to do BLT cornflakes also. No, I'm joking.
BLT Cornflakes at the store near you. Laurent, you're wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so you're in Manhattan. You got that. You're jonesing for that seaside cuisine thing. You got Pearl Oyster Bar downstairs at BLT Fish, Mermaid Inn. You got a bunch of choices, but this is where I live, man. I love this stuff. This is the real deal. We are here, and this is a real. Well, I'm not going to call this a crab shack or a lobster den or whatever. This is the deal. Those are fishing boats. Every one of those packing out scallops this time of year. This is the dock I'm standing on. That's the water over there. That's where the fish come from. And it doesn't get any better. Sit here, air's blowing, cold beer, little lobster roll, fried this, fried that. What a way to kill an afternoon. So, if you can't make it from Manhattan out to here, you got those places. But this is where I like to hang. You can't beat these things. Okay. We want to do those lobster rolls today. And to do the lobster rolls, I'm going to be using what they call cull lobster. It's alive, it's kicking, it's screaming at you, it's good to go, but it's missing a claw. And in the restaurants, they can't use this because when you order a lobster, you want a tail, 2 claws. This has 1 claw. So in the trade, this is called a cull lobster. They sell them cheaper, and I'm sure that's what Mermaid Inn, that's what everybody's using that's making lobster rolls. All right, 3 of them and we're out of here. All right. Love the Lobster Shack idea in Manhattan. Who would have thought of it? I mean, I got to give Rebecca a nod. It's always hard to isolate sometimes where trends come from. Often in it's kind of fuzzy area, gray area, and like who really started this thing and who didn't, and who's the first one to do that. Well, I think we could pretty much hand it to Rebecca Charles for bringing Pearl Oyster Bar to Cornelia Street back then, an idea that has been replicated, imitated. I don't know. Ripped off? No. People got it. It's a good idea, and it's fun food. I love that kind of food. I mean, who doesn't like fried fish, fried potatoes, hot dog rolls, mayonnaise, corn on the cob, blueberry pie? Classic Americana once again. And I live in a town where this is like the stock and trade. We have lots of these places that are legitimate. They're right there on the water. So what am I going to make? We're going to do the lobster roll at home. And you saw the lobsters at my little shanty. I cooked them. So you didn't have to see, no big mystery. How did I cook them? Well, I put them in a pot of salted boiling water until they were done. How long? I don't know. This isn't per se. This isn't Ducasse. I mean, I'm not poaching them in beurre battue. I'm not cooking them sous vide. They throw them in these convection steamers in these restaurants, and they just cook them until they're done. I'd say a big lobster, I'm cooking for like 10 minutes, 12 minutes. If I was going to be soigné, I would cook the tail and the claw separately because they cook at different temperatures. Different times. But this is just fun stuff. Little overcooked, we're fine. Could be delicious. Just good salted water. So, I'm also going to make a
trying to think who we saw that did this, and I'm eating these restaurants, and they all kind of blur together after a while. But there's a great fried potato you can do at home, like a French fry, but easier. Just get an Idaho potato, peel it, slice it thin on a mandolin, right into water to get that excess starch off of it. Shake the excess water out into 375 fat, stand back, be careful, you don't make a mess. But you can make these wonderful, crispy little shoestring potatoes at home. And I'm thinking, if I'm eating one of these lobster rolls, I probably want like corn on the cob on the side, and shoestring potatoes, big ice cold mug of beer, and yeah, kind of there. So, what's the thing with the lobster roll? I don't know. Like I talked to Rebecca, I talked to the chef at the Mermaid Inn. I ate them. I mean, basically, you got the same. It's like crab cakes. Same idea. You want a lot of lobster meat. You want enough mayonnaise around it just to bind it. And if the lobster is great, you don't want to get away in the way of the flavor. So you don't need a lot of. I mean, I'm not even a big fan of Old Bay. To me, it's it's like an odd note. I'm just going straight up. A lot of lobster meat, just enough mayonnaise to bind it. Little lemon juice, maybe a little dab of Dijon mustard, celery salt, little paprika to give it that red color. Couple squeezes of lemon juice, and I think I'm going to be perfect. So without any further ado, let's do the lobsters. Take the tail off. Split that tail up. And I may save these shells to cook them again. They got good flavor. Claw, slightly more difficult arrangement. Crack the knuckle. And we're just going to get these scissors, rip them right up the back. And in there, open up a little window and pull her out. Make sure there's no shells in it. Got my lobster meat there. I'm not going to use all this onion. Looks like a lot. And I'm going to cut it as small as I can cut it. Stay there. Yeah, just a little essence of onion here is all I want in here. If I wanted to be really soigné, I'd peel the celery, but I don't think we have to. But again, small. So you have a little tiny flavor in there, but you don't even know it's there. I also want to make sure I don't have any shell in here. I'm going to keep the lobster big, because when you're biting that, I want you to know it's there. This is my chef hat I'm wearing. Rose flavor. I hate throwing flavor away. I'm just going to cook this roe in a little butter. It's going to turn beautiful red. I'm going to break it up, cook it in butter, cool it off, and put it right in that mixture. And it's just going to become part of the schmear. But I hate throwing stuff out that has flavor. Chefs are always thinking flavor, save it. So she going to put roe in the garbage. So I'll meet you at the stove, see if this works. If it does, it makes it in. Smash this roe up. You can see what I'm talking about here. It turns nice and red. I don't want to overcook them because then they're going to get granule. We're just going to cook them real easy. A lot of butter, because there's something about lobster and butter that just works. All right, they're done. Doesn't take much. All right, I got my roe cooked. It smells like butter. Can't go wrong with that. All right, little celery salt. Just a touch. Little sweet paprika, because I want it kind of red. This is a really nice Spanish paprika that I get at Calustian's. Dollop of mustard. Bit of sea salt. Beautiful stuff. I think this is molten, the British salt. We'll salt it at the end if we need to. Little lemon juice. I just always find a little lemon juice has a way of heightening flavors, polishing flavors. I don't know, it's clean. The acid in it just sort of brings everything up. Hellman's mayo. It's the stuff, baby. All right. right, we're going to go into the fridge with this. First, let's taste it. Let's get a little piece here. Don't need a thing. I'm liking that. I've got a big old Idaho potato. And I get these big ones because they're just easier to make long cuts with. And I'm going to cut them right into water. All right, there they are. That's what I want. I'll just get that starch off. All right, I want this fat at 375. And I'm not going to guess. It's creeping its way up to 375, and it's creeping fast, so. See that steam coming off? That's the moisture cooking out of the potatoes. All that moisture comes out now. Let them go one more color darker. Perfect. These are going to be good. It's good, good. That's a pretty sight, huh? Again, I got a hot pan here. I don't want it too hot because I don't want that butter to burn. As I remember, Rebecca was just rolling these things in the pan. I love this idea. You know, lobster and butter. Can't go wrong with that. Like corn and butter. Just going to put that right in there, like I was doing French toast or something. Okay, I think we're there. I'm just going to, yeah, that's perfect. We'll smear up this butter on the other side. And then we'll put this bad boy together. Yeah, I got these bad boys, and you could just listen to this. Listen to this. Ha ha! How can you not like that sound? We got our big pile, and I could see drizzling these with a little garlic oil if you wanted, some fried parsley in there. I'm picturing myself with corn on the cob sitting over here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, folks, you know, you want your Lobster Shack food? I don't know. You get any better than that? You got these crispy guys. You got to eat these right away. Oh, these are sick. These are completely sick. I mean, you can't eat these fast enough. You need like a device to put them in your mouth with, like a fork or a spoon or a chopsticks or something. And then this bad boy, I mean, look at that. Look at that. Is that food to make you smile? Well, you know. You know. Huh. If I don't say so myself, that's spot on a winner. Best thing I've made in a while. Man. Well, okay. Do it with lobster. Tastes phenomenal. I'm not so sure you couldn't do this with shrimp and have it be darn good too. Just, you know, boil the shrimp, peel them, chop them up. Same deal. Half the price maybe. Not quite the panache. But you know what I'm saying? We're not all on a lobster budget all the time. But this is great. I love that whole Fish Shack in New York thing. Rebecca, you're the sweetest. Congratulations. Mazel tov, continued success. And all the rest of you out there. Open more of these things, because where can you go wrong? You know, 20, 25 bucks. Off 3rd Avenue in the Lower East Side, off Cornelia Street in the Village. AZ, walking out down Chelsea, bang, and you're on the beach. Oysters on the half shell, fried stuff like this, beer, corn on the cob, noise, music, flip-flops, a Hurley t-shirt, you know, the whole surf attitude, man. Until next time, eat well, but not too much, like me.